When you think about it, words are kind of like building blocks. Sure, you can put a few together and make a simple structure. But to build something that really stands out, something memorable, you need a special kind of tool. And today, we're diving into the architect's secret weapon, the English adjective.
Okay, so let's start here. The cat sat on the mat. I mean, it's a sentence. It works. But let's be real, it's pretty bland, isn't it? It gives you the bare bones facts, but there's no feeling, no real picture in your head. This is our before.
So that's the big question, right? How do we take that simple statement and actually turn it into something you can see in your mind's eye? We've got to add some detail, some color, some texture. But how do we do that?
Well, here's our answer. The adjective. This little word's entire job, its whole purpose in life, is to add more information. It's the thing that answers questions like, what kind is it? Or which one are we talking about? Or how many are there? This is the tool we need to start painting that picture.
And just look at the difference it makes, instantly. A pen, well, that could be any pen in the entire world. But the second you say, a red pen, bam! Suddenly you have a specific image. That one tiny word, red, just took a vague idea and made it concrete. That's the power we're talking about.
So, to really get a handle on this, let's think of adjectives like a set of specialized tools in a toolbox. Each one has a very specific job to do, and knowing which tool to grab is the real secret to crafting powerful descriptions. First up, our most common tool, the one you'll use all the time, the adjective of quality. This is your go-to, your workhorse. Its job is to tell you about the character or nature of a noun. It answers that really basic question, what kind is it?
So take this example. The word honest tells us about the man's character. See, it's not describing his height or what he's wearing, it's describing the quality of him as a person. And notice how that single word immediately sets this serious, respectful tone? That's the adjective of quality doing its job. Okay, next tool in the box, the adjective of quantity. You'll grab this one when you want to talk about how much of something there is, but, and this is key, you're not getting into exact numbers. It's all about giving a general idea. See what I mean? The word some doesn't tell you if it's a whole gallon or just a few drops. It just points to an amount that isn't specified. And that's super useful for times when you just don't need to be that precise. But what if you do need to be precise? Well, for that, you've got the adjective of number. This tool tells you exactly how many things we're talking about, or what their specific order is in a line. Now, this is totally different from some water, right? 3 books is totally precise. It's not 2, it's not 4, it is exactly 3. This is the adjective you use when you want absolute clarity. All right, our next tool is the demonstrative adjective. I like to think of this one as a little spotlight. It points directly at a very specific person or thing, and it answers the question, which one? When someone says, this pen is mine, they're pointing right to it. It's not that one over there on the table, it's this one, right here. Words like this, that, these, and those are absolutely essential for singling stuff out. And of course, you've got your specialty tools for really specific situations. Possessive adjectives like my show you who owns something. Interrogative ones like which are for asking questions. Proper adjectives like Indian come from the name of a specific place or person. And distributive ones like every let you talk about each member of a group one by one. So, we've got our tools laid out. But, a great craftsperson knows that having the tools is only half the battle. If you don't know how to use them correctly, they're not much good to you. So let's open up the instruction manual. Now, a huge part of using adjectives is for comparing things. There are basically 3 levels. You have the positive form, like tall, that's just the basic description. Then you have the comparative, taller, which you use to compare 2 things. And finally, the superlative, tallest, which you use to compare 3 or more things and find the absolute extreme. And for longer words like beautiful, it's even easier. You just use more and most. Okay, rule number 1, and this is a big one, placement. In English, the adjective almost always comes right before the noun it's describing. We say a good girl, not a girl good. It's just a fundamental rule of how we build our sentences. And rule number 2 is a real lifesaver, especially if you're learning the language. Adjectives in English never, ever get a plural S. You can have 1 apple or 5 apples or 1,000,000 apples, but the adjective is always red, never reds. It's simple, it's clean, and it's always the same. So, what happens when you want to use a few adjectives at once? Well, there's actually a sort of natural, unwritten order to it. A really good guide to follow is start with your opinion, then the size, then the color, and then finally the noun. That's how you get something that sounds right, like a beautiful small red flower.
All right, we've looked at our tools, we've gone over the rules of the craft. Now for the really fun part, seeing the payoff. Let's circle all the way back to where we started and see what we can build now.
Remember this guy? Our plain, simple, kind of forgettable sentence. This was our blank canvas, our blueprint. Functional, sure, but definitely not brilliant.
And look at it now. The fluffy little orange cat sat on that old mat. We threw in some quality adjectives, fluffy, little, orange, old, and even a demonstrative one, that. And just like that, it's not just any cat anymore. You can actually see it, can't you? We've gone from a simple fact to a full-color scene. That is what using adjectives correctly is all about. So now you have the tools, and you have the rules. You've got the power to take something simple and plain and turn it into something detailed, vivid, and brilliant. So the only question left to ask is, what are you going to build with your words?